Hey guys, what's up? I'm Elcrest. You might know me as a Smash University editor for Coach's Corners and many of the shorts that are currently going up. You might also know this amazing fellow here. Please introduce yourself.
What's up, everyone? It's Hazmat, whatever you want to call me. What's going on, Elcrest?
Nothing much, but you might know why I brought you here today, and that is to talk about Shine, New England, and overall make this a very eventful time. So let's get a bit of background first while we're starting off with Shine. What did you know about it? How did Shine start?
Oh my God, how that is a deep question for many different people. I think a great way to talk about how it started is to talk about the two scenes, the Melee and then like the current game scene, whether Brawl, Smash 4, and Ultimate, obviously. But
Right.
Melee plus the current scene, a lot of really smart, really dedicated people wanted a tournament to go. And New England was always a hungry and strong region and wanted to be able to prove, hey, look at all these good players, look at all these hidden bosses that we have. Look at all these top players we have that you don't even know about yet. So the desire and the passion to make something magical happen really landed on the Melee side, to be honest with you. It was Shidang, Matt.Zeb, and Colin are the big three right now off the top of my head. Shout out to those guys because they really kicked it off and got everything started for Shine. And then they obviously included the Smash 4/Ultimate scene when that was appropriate. So how it got started was I think it was just a desire to make bigger things happen in New England.
New England definitely was lacking that big tournament major at the time, and I remember like growing up playing Smash 4 in Melee. I was like, man, I really wish there was a major near me.
Oh yeah, and we, especially at that time, was competing heavily in Smash 4, going to like 1 or 2 weeklies a week. And I was like, damn, we have some really good players here, but especially when you're that age, young 20s, teenager, like you're not gonna like going to majors is tough. It's really expensive, like $500 at that time. Where do I get that
Ooh,
from? It's
I
impossible.
was already going to like the game underground stuff too,
Yep.
where it's like you would travel up there. It's like, oh man, like we had so many good players, just like we didn't have that chance. I think the closest major that went inactive was Apex, if I recall correctly, because that was
Yeah.
the only East Coast one
That was my
in
first
CEO.
major. That was my first major ever, which is crazy because CEO's Florida, obviously,
Yeah.
which I also went to pretty early on too. Um, but Apex, it was my first major. And actually, fun fact, all the Tweak Talks guys were at that same. It was Tweak's first
Yo,
major and Charles's first major too. I'm pretty sure Marcus went to one before because MDVA had every major at every point. So, but yeah, it was
that
all
is
three of us were there for the first time. We didn't know each other. It was our first major, and we were all there. So that was back when. And I think this is important too. This is when Smash was really booming, like thanks to post doc stuff, especially Melee being very big, and Smash 4 coming out at a good time. So both scenes were thriving, and it was a time where tournaments were really stacking up. The Summer Smash, right? Like that was a classic phrase that was thrown around a lot in New England. Some of the leadership, especially in the Melee side, said, "Why not us?" and put together an incredible tournament series to make it happen. So yeah, it was really cool.
I don't think I was able to attend the first Shine, but 2017
Uh-huh.
obviously was a very fun Shine as well. But going back to 2016, Shine started then, and it was again New England's first big premier event. Do you think it, had an effect on the New England scene? Because we got to show a lot of our stuff.
Definitely. I remember the buzz. It's funny, before we really went live, you and I were talking about like you'd sent me the questions for the interview. I was like, dude, I'm feeling old looking at these questions
It's
because it brought, but
in
in
the
a good way.
past.
In a good way though, because it
Yeah.
brought me back to a time where it's like we gotta go to every weekly. We gotta have Smash 4 Melee training sessions, right? Like we gotta show, like, this is an opportunity for New England. We can't host a major and then get washed, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
the
embarrassing.
nostalgia that's washed over me when you said that too. Like, oh
Yep.
man.
All the get-togethers, the meetups, the online sessions, like everything. Everyone was getting ready in their own ways because I feel like it's really important for a scene that knows their worth to be able to get an opportunity like this and then take it and run with it, which I think pretty much players, casters, TOs, everyone who had been doing good work in New England for a while was ready to do it on the big stage. And all it took was those guys. Well, I say all it took, but I'm sure it was a lot of heavy lifting from Shidang and the team there at Big Blue Esports. So yeah,
Yeah, and they definitely made something amazing. And New England, we did do our best. We were proving ourselves. Like we made sure we were not washed in our own region.
Well, it was especially 2016 was interesting because, obviously on the Smash 4 side, at least, a lot of us had put a ton of chips into Mars. And at that first Shine, he lost early on to a Robin player named Dath from Florida, who actually ended up being like the highlight of the tournament and getting third. But Mars did get top 8. He got 7th,
Thank
I
God.
believe, at that tournament. I know, but it was both like really refreshing because the first Shine for real was like kind of a super major, and I love these regions still, very special regions to my heart because they came to the first Shine, and I made some really good friends from those scenes and still talk to them to this day. Like, so Tri-State, obviously, we always coexist very well. We're very
Yeah.
fluid between, especially still today, like we still go to let's make moves or let's make big moves and all that good stuff. And then so there's Tri-State, Canada. Shouts to Canada. They came through to Shine in a big way. I love meeting the Canadian scene for the first time, really, at Shine 2016. And then there's also Florida. So those are the 3 regions that always stick out in my mind as they supported Shine before Shine was really big. And I made some great friends from those scenes who I still talk to this day, which is amazing. Like my Florida guys, dudes from Canada that I know. And I obviously knew people from Tri-State for a long time, but having them come through the Shine was incredible. It was so fun. But then
It
it was like some of the results were interesting because some of our players who we expected to do really well only got like 25th or 33rd. A lot of the New England PR fell in that range, like 25th, 33rd, 17th, whatever. And then some of our like hidden local bosses, like my man Zorn got 9th, I remember, at the Shine. He's a Toon Link player who just did well at weeklies. But that's what we loved and man, the crowds were crazy. The crowds are
the
amazing. Like the New
crowds
England
were
culture was
awesome at every
incredible. Yeah.
Shine.
Yeah, it's true. The culture
Uh
here, I'm less connected to the local scene now. I'm like an older guy. I don't get out to the
yeah.
locals as much as I wish I could. But the culture back then was like the memes, the cheering, like the passion was amazing. And still being there I went to there was a New England Invitational for Ultimate, and
I
then
remember
obviously
that.
I obviously went to Shine 2023, and I gotta say, like, it's very well preserved. Like, a lot of the soul is still there for sure. Even though I'm not as connected to it as I was, I could still feel it. It's still there. The bones are still there, which is amazing.
It definitely feels like bleh. It definitely feels like the New England scene will be able to persevere through a lot, even as like people, move out and move away from the scene. They're always gonna have that connection. That soul is always gonna be there.
Yeah, it's a very big scene as well. We kind of cheat by taking so many great states and combining them all together, right? I mean, the heart and soul of New England though isn't just the majorly populated areas, right? Like Massachusetts is obviously very important because you get a lot of college kids in and a lot of kids who are up and coming trying to play Smash and go to weeklies, and having a highly populated area is very important for weeklies to keep them alive and stuff. But man, it's those killers from like Rhode Island and Maine and like the smaller states that like, dude, there's like New England, yes, we band together at big majors. Yes, we're all New England, but dude, at regionals, it's kill or be killed. You know what I mean? It's like,
It
dude,
really
you don't want to
is.
lose to Connecticut. You don't want to lose to Massachusetts if you're from Rhode Island. And
Like
and all that stuff is so important to the culture. It's so good to have real local rivalries so that when you fight outside invaders, you're ready for it, man.
yeah,
Because
you're willing to back each other up. You're willing to cheer for each other. Like Rhode Island currently
exactly.
is going through a bit of a rough patch in terms of like, hey, our scene's kind of going through it. But I feel like every scene kind of goes through that rough patch, and I know we'll come back stronger than ever. But
Sure.
speaking of the players that did well at the first Shine, a certain someone did pretty well. How was it as a player versus now as a commentator?
Oh yeah. So at the time, Smash 4 is probably the game I competed the most. Not probably. It was the game I competed the most in terms of Smash for sure. I was New England PR at the time. I felt a lot of pressure to do well, defend the home region, and I got upset early in my round 1 pools, and I was super upset. I never felt that much pressure to do well with like all my friends cheering me on or people like I said from other regions. Like, damn, I just embarrassed myself in front of Connecticut. Like this sucks. So
Yeah.
I lost pretty early in winners, and I was super bummed out. I made it out through losers, and I played, and I was like, dude, I don't know. I got to show up and play better in day 2. And I got the run back against, it was a Sheik player who beat me. I got the run back, and I beat him in the run back. So that felt really good. And I ended up getting 33rd, which I wish I had done better at the time. I was somewhere like 6 or 7 on the New England Power rankings, which is a very, very tough region. And I'm very proud of that ranking to this day still. But the thing is like being a player, it's very similar vibes because I wanted to do really well as a player to show that our region's very strong. It can't be like this dude's power ranked 6th or 7th in New England and he got, 129th or whatever at their own major. It's like, I can't do that.
Yeah, you
Same
can't
thing.
show up and, play stat bad.
Yeah, same thing with commentary. I didn't want to get up there and just be like, "Oh, this guy, he's just getting a slot because he's a local caster and all this stuff." I knew at this point and Shine was a big turning moment for me for this, is where I knew I was a great competitor, but I knew I could really do something with commentary. And it was honestly something I always really wanted to do since I got back into Smash. Um, Years before Shine, I was like, I like casting. I want to give it a shot. And shout out to the New England scene because they always had my back. Whenever a tournament, I didn't even know tournaments were happening, and I'd log into Twitter and people were tagging me like, "You got to hire Haz," and they were all just local people who wanted to see me do well because I went to the locals and casted. So whenever like I get a lot of new casters who ask me like, "How do I get my start?" I'm like, "Dude, go to your locals every time. Like, make friends, have fun, like have this little ecosystem to yourself that'll help and support you or tell you when you suck," because that was really important. There were times where I was bad on commentary and the New England people let me know. They were like, "Dude, you were terrible. You said this and this is wrong. You said this and this was wrong." I was like, "Wow, I didn't know." Like, it's better to make those mistakes on a smaller stage so that when it's like playing, when you get to the
Yeah,
bigger stage, you're ready to go. So as a caster, I felt pressure, but I felt more confident because it's something I felt like I was better at. And there's no opponent, right? Like, it's just you
yeah.
basically. It's more like golf than it is like tennis or something like that. So I felt confident, but I also wanted to do better at commentary. Like, it's something I cared about more, so I felt the pressure quite a bit. But I had shout outs too, and I know one of your questions is about unsung heroes. Shout out to my man Unk is his tag. I don't know if you know him or remember him at all.
I,
He was my
I
static
have a brief
duo.
memory of him.
He was my static partner in commentary for 2 or 3 years in Smash 4, and this guy, he's just one of the best people I've ever met in my life. I saw him at Shine 2023 for the first time in 4 years. He just stopped by, didn't tell. I was like, "Dude, you didn't text me?" He was
Yeah.
just standing there. I was like, "What the hell?" We were a static commentary duo, and like he just, man, not just in the game and not just in commentary, but in life, like we just talked about everything, man. He's such a great guy, and all of that is because of New England Smash and because of Shine, honestly. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I definitely think you've really proven yourself as a commentator. Like, a lot of people use the bash on commentators, like, I think early 2012, 2013, all the way to 2015. But a lot of commentators, even back in the day, were renowned players. And, like, you're showing, like, even players can make that jump into a commentator. Like, they know their stuff. There's a reason why these players who were that good managed to make a jump so easily. And obviously, yeah,
Yeah.
like, no one's perfect. Sometimes you're gonna misremember, but that's why the feedback is so important and so good.
Exactly, it's tough love, right? It's the same thing with the regional rivalries. Like, I hate that, a Sheik player from Rhode Island or whatever. Oh damn, I was trying to come up with a combo that didn't exist, and I just named Sharp by accident. My fault. My bad, Sharp. I obviously love Sharp. He's a great kid.
Sharp is great.
But I obviously hate that. Let's just make something up here. That R.O.B from, I can't say R.O.B. He's too common. I hate that. Geez, why I'm hating that PT player from Rhode Island. Okay, did I do it right? I don't know, but
I'm pretty sure
then
this is PT player too, but it's
yeah,
okay.
exactly. Yeah, that'll just work, right? But then when you see them playing out of region, you cheer them on, or you see them, they see you playing, they cheer you on, all that stuff. It's the same thing in commentary. It's like, hey, I remember that you gave me that feedback. It's going to come back and help me grow as a player, and that tough love is something that I think New England has done better than most regions. Like, people need that feedback to get better. Like, if you see someone messing up and you don't call it out, they're never going to fix it. They think that's right. They're doing it for a reason, Like,
Yeah,
I didn't say that, Little Mac has heavy armor because I thought it was incorrect and it'd be funny. I was like, I just thought that's what it was, or whatever I messed
yeah.
up at the time, whatever it was. So yeah. And I'd say that's my other bit of advice for up and coming casters. When you're both, go to your locals, and when you go to your locals, don't just cast, also play. It's very, very important to play. How are you going to capture the feeling of playing if you've never been in those situations yourself? You can look at it and you can understand and break it down from a logical standpoint, but how can you attach emotion and feeling to it, to making a two-stock comeback when you're down that much? Like, unless you've done it and lived it, I think it's very hard to accurately portray that through your commentary. So those are my two big pieces of advice right there.
I think those are some great pieces of advice. And, you know, being a commentator, I'm sure you've come across some amazing moments behind the mic. And when you were playing, there were some amazing moments in the seat. So, I think each person has their own unique moments. What are some of yours that made Shine special to you?
Oh man, in terms of being a player, it was beating that Sheik player that beat me in winners with all of New England behind me. That was really cool, and they all knew that that was the Sheik player who sent me to losers early, so they were getting pretty rowdy, which was fun. I love a good crowd. I even love when the crowd cheers against me. I think that's really fun. I just like a good crowd. I like the energy of it a lot. Um, so that was amazing as a player. As a caster, easily the number one that comes to my mind instantly is 2023 Shine with Light winning. That's just the easiest W that has happened. There were just too many layers that made it something very special, not just to me, but to all of New England Smash and honestly all of Smash Ultimate period. And I mean on the Melee side, obviously you had Cody doing it too. So that coupled with Light winning, it was like poetry. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
it is
It was
literally just
beautiful.
poetic.
Yeah, exactly. It was like bigger than everything we had built to. It was the perfect send off for Shine. I loved it so much.
If I recall correctly, this was also the biggest Shine since 2016.
I think so. 20. Yeah, I was looking at the entrance. Honestly, I cheated before we hopped on, but yeah, something like that. It was big and Shine. It went through a couple of transitions, and I was really happy to see it do well in the final one here. I mean, you could feel it in the crowd, that's for sure. And at 2023, there were so many people that showed up that I hadn't seen in years. Like I said, Unk, he's one of my guys, but so many people, just players I used to play against. Like, how are you doing? What are you up to? You got a kid now? What the heck? You're
Oh
married?
no!
What the hell?
Oh
What's going
no!
on here?
Life is hitting me now.
I had 23-year-olds saying, "Man, I'm getting old to me." I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, you're getting old. What the hell?" It's
I'm
all
one of
good
those 23-year-olds now.
though. There you go. Exactly. You got your whole life ahead of you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. I do think it's important to know that Shine, at its core, while it was a Smash tournament, it wasn't just Smash. We had Rivals, we had a Splatoon 2, even Street Fighter 5. I remember walking around the venue in the corner of my mind, like, is it Street Fighter? It's like, yeah, want to play it? No, I don't. I wasn't in the traditional fighters at the time. I was like, sorry, I'm not that good. I'm not that interested. And he's like, hey, it's fine, it's fine. If you want, you can watch. And it's just like, it. It felt like more than the New England community. It felt like a lot of the Smash community was crossing over with all these different kinds of communities. And I want to ask, like, was there anything that stood out to you from some of the other communities that were at Shine, you know?
Yeah. So my background too is I started in the fighting game community as a third strike player as a kid. Like that was my first competitive game. So I was very happy to see FGC, traditional FGC games at Shine in any capacity. I know obviously it was smaller. I love Rivals too. Shout out to Rivals. I think they do amazing stuff in terms of platform fighters. I think they're amazing. So I'm always happy to see tournaments have that cross pollination, especially the fighting game community, because, and I've said this so many times, it used to be really rocky between the FGC and Smash. Like true, we do not fuck with each other type vibes. Sorry, I don't know if we
Yeah.
swear, but yeah, we
It's
do not
fine. It's fine.
we do not fuck with each other. Like, was the vibe to see it there? Like later, much later in my life, it was great too because my little brother, who was never really into Smash that much, but started playing it because I was really into it. Obviously, he was more of a traditional fighting game guy. Like when I started getting into Smash, he like stayed the path on fighting games. So when Shine had fighting games, he's like, dude, I'll come by and play some Street Fighter 5 and enter a Smash. Sure, why not? So he came through. So for me personally, it was great because my little brother came. And then that got him actually kind of the inverse effect where he was almost all fighting games, got more into Smash. And then when Ultimate came out, he started playing a lot. And then he went to
Yo.
the Shine the next year. He actually went just to play Ultimate. There were no fighting games at that one, I don't think. And if there were, it was small. So he went and it actually helped him become more of a Smash player. So personally to me, I saw the inverse happen at Shine, which was really cool. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard not to get and to not fall in love with both of these scenes because they're so similar. Like the passion, the dedication, everything is there. When you see it, these players, the crowds, especially Shine had some amazing crowds over the years too.
Shine
So
had some. I
it's
remember.
infectious.
I remember. I think it was Leffen and Ultimate versus a Bowser. And
Oh
everyone was just
god.
going crazy, if you remember that.
Yeah. What's funny is I got to commentate the Leffen versus Salem set back at SmashCon, which was, I think, the peak of FGC Smash crossover, which was insane. That was wild for sure. And with Shine crowds, I always think of the Melee at the chairs, the S2J chairs every time. That's got to be the number one Shine crowd moment. It was so good.
So many good memories.
Sure.
And um I'm sorry. I'm being hit by a wave of nostalgia.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The COVID time skip really did, I think, a lot to people's like memory and like how we perceive how time is functioned. But then when we think we attach it to like these real things, and especially Smash tournaments, because like you could everything's captured on video and audio. It's crazy to go back and think, not to get too existential about it, but it's crazy to be like, damn, Shine started like 8 years ago. What the hell? What happened? Like, where did all
What's
this
been
go?
going on? How did time fly so fast?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It
But yeah.
really is. And I don't think we can delay this question any longer. As a player,
Alright.
what was it like playing at the previous Shines for both singles and doubles? Because from my research, you did do really well in doubles as well, consistently.
Yeah. I love doubles. New England had always been a huge doubles region. They actually won Shine 2023 doubles. Shouts to the new players holding it down. I love that. But we had an ego about doubles. Like you had to be good at doubles. You weren't a good player. Like that was like the bar. Like all right, yeah,
It
cool.
was it was what drew a lot of people there, and I was always so mad when the locals didn't have doubles. Like, oh, come
I
on.
know. It was a staple at regionals. Like you had to get up and go early and play your doubles because you just had to. Everyone's doing it. It's great. And I do think doubles teaches you a lot of stuff that you can't learn through singles, like how to look at other parts of the screen while you're playing, or like how to hit certain combos or where to look for text and stuff like that. It makes you think faster in a way because there's double the action on the screen. So I do still hold that philosophy true. It's just tough because ultimate, the knockback is crazy. So doubles is like a little
It's a different game almost.
yeah, it's a little less calculated than it's been in the past, but people are getting better at ultimate and at ultimate doubles, so it's starting to catch up. So that's great.
I really look forward to seeing where that goes.
Me too. It's been better and better. I hated casting, honestly, under the table. I hated casting ultimate doubles in the beginning. Now I don't care at all. I think it's great. I think it's been so many teams have put the effort in to learn how to combo and how to use their characters, and we've seen a lot of cool stuff. So
I definitely think as time goes on, I really hope doubles starts growing more because it definitely is less focused on than singles, but I feel like there's just some energy you cannot get from a crowd except with doubles.
yeah, doubles just in general and ultimate kind of faded into the background a little bit. I think because of the knockback and it was tough to learn, but I think it's coming back quite a bit, or at least I feel better about it than I did when the game first came out. So maybe
Yeah.
that's something.
All right. So many people who do start as players and jump over the commentators start to see tournaments differently. We have a history of TK, EE, Coney. Things start to shift. So, did anything change in your eyes when you were commentating Shine versus when you were a player? Not behind the mic and highlighting all these amazing players.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is scope because when you're a player, you're focused on like your bracket path and who you have to play and who's up next and what if this upset happens, what characters do I have to play, and especially in Ultimate, what counter picks do I need for just stages and characters if you main more than one character. So looking at your bracket path, you're focused on you. Like it's a very individual thing, you and like your competition, right? For a commentator, it's about understanding, capturing, and communicating the entire feel of the whole event, right? I can't just look at one player's bracket path, you know what I mean? I need to look at everyone. I need to understand what are the major storylines. It's just a larger lens or a bigger scope. It's more zoomed out. And I feel like my job as a commentator is to capture the feel of the venue and the feel of the event and bring that home to the viewers and make sure that they understand and feel like they're at the event even though they can't be. It's an impossible task. It's a fool's errand to make that be your goal, but that's my attempt every time. It's like, what are the vibes, right? What am I bringing home here? How are we feeling around here? Are we feeling good that Leo's in grand finals? Are we feeling good that Tweak is in grand finals? Whatever. So that's the way I would look at it for sure. As a player, I was very individually focused, trying to figure out my best way to find success in the bracket. And for a commentator, it's like, what's the most interesting thing we could talk about here? And how do I make people feel invested and care about a storyline, even if it's Shine 2018 and it's like 7 out of 8 Bayos in top 8 or whatever, try to figure out something.
Hey, I like that matchup. I had a kill combo on her.
There you go. Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Marth was pretty good in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Great character, honestly. Smash 4 Marth was very cool. Yeah.
I miss Smash 4 Marth, but uh, Shine definitely has had an impact on the scene. But when you were playing, did you start to notice like any players starting to try harder, trying to feel like, prove they belong to the overall larger scene? I know we brought up like before, we don't want to be washed in our own region, but it feels like there's always a difference when after Shine started. I feel like some people were more like trying their best to get in there. What about you? Did you notice anything like that?
Yeah, there were so many just weeklies and monthlies leading up to Shine. It's like, dude, we have to go. We have to get ready for this weekly. You have to get ready for this. Hey, who's in your bracket path? Let's practice this matchup. Like, really became a community or group effort to to bring out the best in each other for sure. There were huge sessions before Shine that were so much fun. Just in general, I was talking to people in the scene more, just asking about matchups, like, hey, who's your bracket path? How looking for, hey, this upset can happen. We know that this player is nasty against, I don't know, like Diddy or whatever. You could definitely beat this Diddy player from out of region. That'd be awesome. Who could get top 8? How can we help, Mars and Light or whoever out and help them do as well as they can? It was really cool, especially in the earlier years for sure. Back when it was in the Seaport before Worcester, before Ultimate, basically, like the early years in Smash 4 when I competed, I was closer to that stuff and people really tried. And I think Ultimate too, like there was a really, really big push to do well because Shine, the first year was like basically a super regional. And then everybody started showing up once they saw how sick the venue, the area, the tournament itself was. So New England proportionately raised the stakes when it came to how hard we tried for each tournament and how much we helped each other out. So it was pretty cool. I mean, there were invitationals the month before, there were weeklies, super weeklies, sessions every weekend. It was a grind. Everyone tried their hardest, and I love the region so much for that.
I remember, I think it was during 2017 because that was my first Shine. I had someone trying to coach me. I can't remember who I was gonna like preparing to face against. Then I get upset by this random
Yep.
Greninja. I'm like, I did not think a Greninja could. I think it was from Mass 2. And so I instantly just go like, hey, here's everything on this guy. And I
Oh,
start just like
nice.
dumping. And he's like, thanks. And he almost got it. I was like, oh,
Oh
you almost
man,
did it. It was
the
just
team
like that.
effort though. I love that. I didn't even know that
Yeah.
happened. That's amazing.
It's definitely the
I
smaller
love that.
stories in this scene that always pop up
Yeah, for
in my
sure.
mind. And this brings us to our next question. Anyone that's gone to Shine before knows there's like all these little events on the side. They're not even necessarily like Smash focused. There's stuff like Mafia, Trivia. I remember like there were a few Mafia like games. There was an art gallery where it's like, hey, if you beat me in Smash, best of 3, you get free art. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god. Uh, did you, participate in any of those events?
I was usually very busy, especially when I was competing and commentating. It's just a lot to keep up with to do both. But I always went to the Artist Alley every year. Obviously, I checked out all the merch. I have so much Shine merch still, and stuff I just bought from vendors at Shine. I still have 2 Shine controllers. Like I love all that stuff. The thing I remember really participating in is, and I thought this was really really cool, is they had panels too one year, and maybe a couple of years. They had panels where people could go up and talk about their skills in esports and how they translate to the real world or what they're up to and why this all means more than just, oh, I could beat you in Smash, right? Or I could talk about Smash. So I did a panel with my buddy Koopa, who we closed out Shine 2023 with, about commentary and how it translates to real world skills and how you get where, or how you focus on and how you articulate what's going on in a match and what it means for the bigger picture, right? So we did a panel on commentary and it was great. I had a
So
couple beers
cool.
before. We had a really good time. We rocked it, is what I would say. I had a very fun time at that panel, is what I'd say. It was good.
I feel like a lot of Shine, like even if you were out in the main event, there was always a bunch of cool stuff you could do. Evident when I got out in the main event at 2018, I was in one of the
Oh,
trivia games.
nice.
I think it was TK, he was hosting it. And it was the final question. I was like, I will kill a man to get up there. And I go up there, and other person is a Melee player. And it's a question about Mars frame data. It's like, oh, what is Mars frame data spike in Smash 4? And he's like, I don't know. I play Melee. I just came up here because I thought it was cool. And I was like trying to contain
Really?
myself. On the inside, I was jumping with joy. And TK puts the mic on me. I'm like, frame 13, I believe. I don't remember it now, obviously, but I think it
But
was
yeah.
frame 13. And TK's like, oh, shit, really? Well, good job. I don't know. Have the bag anyway. I don't know how you know that. And
You're
the
so funny.
entirety of Rhode Island was walking by. They see what happened. It's like, it's a Mars main.
Yeah, it's so fun. Again, like those little moments are so important. The one I will say too that a lot of people liked were the lane shift brackets where
Oh
you're
my
out of the
god.
main bracket. Genius idea. I believe it's Matt.Zeb's baby, where you get out of the main bracket. That means you can qualify and play in these little lane shift brackets where they're just smaller side brackets all throughout the weekend. And they give away Shine merch, gift cards, all this other stuff that you could win and play. And it lets you practice and play more for real brackets. You have real good players in there. Pelka played in a bunch. Like a lot of really good players. I think Craftus did a couple too. Like good players entered those, and it was great practice. Very smart way to optimize the tournament goer experience that's outside of the main bracket, right?
It was definitely, like, really nice
Smart.
to have that option, and no one knows this from the New England scene because I've kind of become disconnected, but I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh judge, and I was sort of using that philosophy of the lane shift brackets whenever I was
Nice.
giving public events and, like, just encouraging people because it's always good to have that practice. It's always good to have that there, and I really feel like there's a lot of shine that has rubbed off on the wider community.
Definitely. Though the guys at Big Blue, I love working with them. They were super sharp, and they weren't just trying to be like, here's a major, and you should come because it's in Boston. It's like, no, we also have, like you said, other fighting games, other platform fighters. We got these lane ship brackets. So if you're a Smash player and a crackhead who just wants to play all weekend, you don't need to sit up friendly setup. You can play in bracket matches all weekend against good players. It was
And
a
that was
really
really nice.
it was a really good attempt and a really good, I'd say, successful attempt at improving the tournament experience for the average tournament goer, the 2-2 or 3-2 or 4-2 or whatever, who wants to get more out of the weekend. Like I said, you pay. Most of the people who go to these tournaments, they're in their late teens, early 20s, and they want to go, and they don't have a couple $100 laying around to fly and get a hotel for a weekend. But if you do, and you're able to justify that cost because you'll get more out of it to go to Shine than other tournaments, it was a really good idea. A lot of credit to Matt.Zeb there, but the whole team, of course, at Big Blue.
Big Blue was just this amazing entity that I can't thank them enough for just everything they've really done. And speaking of everything they've done, they let you commentate. And I really love your commentary. I
Thank you.
remember the Salem versus Leffen match. I really think you killed it during then
Thanks.
at SmashCon. I don't remember what year it was, but that's besides the point. How did being a commentator change things for you behind the scenes at Shine? Obviously, obviously
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot more different when you're behind the scenes talking.
Couple of big things happened. So I remember doing Shine commentary. I don't remember if I got hired the first year. I don't even know if I did, honestly, which is crazy. Maybe I did. It was either the first year or the second year. The first year I got hired, I still was only doing like pools and maybe like top 128 because they were hiring, they were hiring the big guns. They were hiring the big commentators from everywhere. And even though I was good and I was from the region and I do it for a lot cheaper, they didn't care because at that time, Smash had a lot more cash flow and all. So they were like, look, we want our tournament to be, and I get it, obviously. I was not happy. I was not mentally and emotionally not okay with it, but logically, I was like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
But more of that tough love. Hey, man, it's great that you're from our region. It's great you're a good commentator and you'll do this for cheap. But you know what? You're not as good as these guys, or you're not at this level yet. And so it really was, again, like a wake up call to me where it's like, dude, I'm great and I have this opportunity to show it. I better show up to Shine with some great material and some great knowledge and really impress some people. And I remember Shine is a tournament where I hadn't met this person before. And after Shine, they tweeted out, I really like Hazmat's commentary. And a lot of people started liking, retweeting it, and commenting. That player was Esam, and I was so blown away. Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't know. It's so funny to say that at this point because I've like known him for 8 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've been friends for a long time at this point, and now it's like, whoa, he just tweeted that out of nowhere for no reason other than he thought he thought my commentary is good, and from there,
I
I
think I
used
remember
that.
seeing that tweet
It
too.
was really cool for me too. Like it felt really affirming, you know what I mean? It felt really good to get that feedback from someone because I had proven myself in region, but to get it from someone who is very critical of commentary, as you know, he doesn't hide his opinion at all.
He's a very opinionated. I was editing
He's
Coach's
got a
Corner of him.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot to say about a lot of things for sure. It's because he cares, and the fact that he did that meant a lot. And I used that in my commentary reel. I thought that was really smart to use like a trusted source, and I used that as my platform for one of my commentary reels where I use top players, essentially confessionals to say I really like Haz's commentary, and he was one of them. And Light and Mars, obviously. Actually, I think Mars blew me off. But either way, uh, He said he would, then he didn't answer, I think, but maybe I'm
I
wrong
feel
on
like
that.
that's the more special, where
He
he'll say he do something, then he's like off in another country. Like, how
Yeah.
did you get there? Why?
He made me look foolish on that day is what I'll say, but I got him back eventually. But with that ESAM tweet, I used it as a way to get to CEO, which was a very, very big tournament. I think it was 2016 CEO or 2017. It was the first time I ever did a block with Vicky, who's still to this day one of my
Oh,
favorite commentary partners, commentators. Period. Amazing work ethic, very easy to work with, all that good stuff. So that was Shine created that avenue for me, which turned into her and I did Shine 2021. Yeah, Shine 2021 or Shine 2020. And we closed out with top 8. So like it kind of came full circle. Like, all right, Haz, you're good.
that happened in 2020?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Let me take a
Even
look.
during
Hold
that
on.
time.
Let me take a look. Yeah, I mean, I'm still friends with her to this day. Sorry, not 2020, because it didn't happen in 2020, right?
Right.
But yeah, 20. It was this year, 2019. Sorry, I was off by one. I knew I was close.
It's fine. It's fine. It happened.
I'm bad with years. I'm sorry, chat.
It's okay. I've had trouble remembering shines too. I was like, wait, was there a shine 2020?
It's like I remember winners and good sets and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously got shut down for COVID. So yeah,
I
2019, we came back. We came back and we closed out the shine. So it was
I
a
think that was an amazing duo for Shine, in my
yeah.
personal opinion.
Again, it's the Florida New England connection. It's always been good. It's always been solid, and like I said, they supported the tournament very early on. So I felt like it was fitting to have her up there and represent them. So yeah,
Moving on, we have talk about Shine's behind the scenes in terms of their hiccups. No Shine was perfect. We love Shine.
uh,
Shine was amazing to be at, but there were some hiccups. Uh,
yeah.
are there any ones you can talk about that you remember that the player base never saw? Because I feel like that is, I feel like that's a behind the scenes benefit. People who are at the commentator level slash production level get to see and like, thank God people didn't know that happened.
Yeah, I can't think of any like real secret ones. I do remember. Do you remember the first year we had Ultimate in Worcester and
Yeah, I
Light,
do.
and I think Mars too? They were complaining about the setups. I'm pretty sure it was Light more than anyone, but he was saying
Wasn't there like a bit of lag on them?
that's what he was saying, and that was more of a big deal than people realize because when a top player, especially one as well liked as Light, says something like that, people listen and be like, dude, I'm not going to Shine if the tournament setups lag. So that was more of a big deal than I think people realized. That's really stressful for tournament organizers to hear. Because, well, first off, I don't know if they did or not. I don't know. Oh, I did play that year, but I don't know if they did or not. But the fact that it could affect the rest of the shines going forward was really, really bad. Like that was just really tough. And I'm not saying like he's wrong for sharing his opinion or anything, but I think it's one of those things that should have been handled private. But that was, I think, more of a
Yeah.
big deal than people realize. And the other one was, and I don't know if people know about this one, but Shine on the Shine Twitter. This is pretty funny because anyone who encountered this knows this. So I don't even know if it's like secret information or not. But the Shine Twitter, they installed some sort of add-on that was an auto blocker. I don't know like what the criteria was for the blocker, or if I don't know what they were doing with it. But people like realized they hadn't got paid from Shine yet, and they'd go to message the Twitter, and it would say that the Twitter had blocked them.
Oh no.
I know.
It's the most terrifying
I
thing.
know. I know all those guys, and they're not like they wouldn't block anyone. I don't think they really cared enough to honestly to block anyone, and they'd rather resolve stuff than hide it from people. So they were accidentally blocking people that they like owed. I don't want to say owed money to. That sounds kind of dramatic, but people they didn't get complete their payouts, and people were like, "What the hell is going on here?" But and I was in the Shine chat, and they were like, "Dude, we got to figure this out. Like, what is going on? Like the damn auto blocker." And they were like, "Oh
Oh
no!" So it was
no.
just a really bad look, obviously, to be like, "Hey, oh, you know what? This tournament hasn't paid me." You look and they have you blocked. It's like, "Uh-oh, am I getting roasted by
Uh-oh.
Shine?"
Is this a pound situation again?
But obviously, they paid everyone out. Everything's fine, so it's not a big deal. But I thought it was really funny to see
It,
it.
it got resolved in the end, thankfully.
It was hilarious, honestly. Like I thought it was really funny. I get all sides being stressed about that, but looking back, it's really funny.
Oh, this was the first time I heard of it. That is hilarious. Honestly, I feel like in the moment, everyone was like, "Oh God, what's gonna happen? What's going on?" Just
Yeah,
everything. But damn, that's hilarious.
it was good. Yeah, it was a good one for sure. People be like, "What the hell?" Like looking for my money. I'm blocked by this account.
All right, so moving on, we have a very poetic ending to Shine. Fox winning both Melee and Ultimate, as you brought up earlier. How was behind the scenes when everyone realizing Fox was the one taking the crown of Shine, the very last Shine.
Yeah, there were a lot of whispers going through the crowd coming around day 2 when they realized that Light, I think the first thing everyone pointed out is, hey, a New England player has never won Shine, which there were some good possibilities for that to happen between, Smash 4 and Ultimate, obviously mostly emphasized on Light and Mars. A lot of players who could have potentially done a lot of damage in those brackets. And then on the Melee side, we had Crush for a lot of years, who also could have won that bracket. So it never happened, which I thought was insane. And it evolved from a New England player has never won Shine to a player or a character that can use Shine has never won Shine, which is very strange to me because we've had so many like Melee brackets are 50%, if not more, spacies. Like, and a lot
Right.
of the top players play a lot of spacies. But then you think about it, it's like, damn, there are a lot of good Sheiks, Marths, and HBox's Puff who had all won Shine. And if you think about the winners of Shine, Zayn got one of his first big wins ever at Shine, but that's Marth, obviously, so it doesn't count for this category. But there have been so many great Melee wins at Shine, and none of them were a spacey. That one I couldn't believe. But then I thought about it, I was like, early Ultimate, a Wolf didn't win Shine? Like, that's because that would count. That's crazy. So the
Didn't even
chances
realize.
so the chances of that happening, I went back and checked because I was like, people got to be wrong. They weren't. Then, obviously, what has happened, Ultimate went first in terms of the tournament order for the top 8 because the tournament with less entrants goes first. And Shine has always been a Melee tournament, so there are far more entrants for Shine there for Melee. And Light is like going on this run, and that's where the storyline really came from. Is someone had realized it and someone put it out there. I think production actually told me on day 2, so someone had noted that. So shout out to whoever that was. Making that story run with it made it so much more entertaining to watch too, because I knew it, like, even without the whole Fox winning Shine thing, Light winning Shine meant so much because it's in 2017, it's his first tournament where he really broke out into the scene. He got a win against Void in Smash 4, which is an enormous win. As Void's main practice partner was Chuck, who taught him the matchup completely wrong, apparently. That's cool. Nice job, Chuck. Shout out to Chuck. Actually, then, but it's funny because Light got 3-0'd by Larry after that, who was actually the best Fox.
Damn.
Because Larry played like a conventional type Fox, like tilt stick and all that stuff, and Light was using smash stick. And Charles always points out, he's like, he's playing it wrong. Like, he did not like Light initially when Ultimate or when Smash 4 was going on. Now, obviously, he loves him and all that stuff, and it's just, there are two different styles of playing that character, and Light made it work against Void, which is really cool. So Light got really getting his start in New England, launching in 2016, 2017, New England PR, all that good stuff, and then closing out Shine with a W with the character Fox. Like, it's actually just perfect. And then Cody doing it in Melee after, also in the grand finals for both of those games, absolutely amazing. Like, just beyond immaculate grand finals for both games. Like, so good. Zombo was playing on fire, Zayn was playing on fire, but they just couldn't keep up. So it was beautiful. And like I said, it was the perfect year to call it quits on Shine in terms of tournament results. I never wanted it to end, obviously, but if I could choose how it would go out, that was it right there.
If it has to end, we may as well make the ending as poetic as possible.
Storybook ending right there for Shine. It was perfect. It was great.
Close the book on it. It's done. Never revive it. Don't ruin it.
Exactly. Leave it. Start a new one maybe, but that's it.
Speaking of starting a new one, there are some TOs who are coming up in the scene and they're really good. So the TOs, again, they're a huge part of the scenes, and without them, you wouldn't have a tournament to commentate. I wouldn't have a tournament to cover. How was it working with Shine's TOs? And I believe beyond the summit in 2022, right?
Working with them, yeah. I mean, they were amazing. Just so good. The organization has always been top notch at Shine. Like you were like, hey, any secrets behind the scenes that happened? Any flops or anything? Any big problems? No, not really. Not that I can remember. They ran a tight ship. They knew what they were doing. They were serious and intelligent people who ran Shine, so they weren't going to mess up something like a bracket. And running all those side events too, it was just so much to keep track of, and they just did such a good job. So, in terms of that was another part. So, like, when your scene gets a tournament, it's a chance not just for your players or your commentators, but it's a chance for your TOs and for your organizational people to shine as well. And you can see how it's transitioned really well for people like Matt.Zeb, who still has an esports background and still keeps up with, he stays in touch with the Melee scene, but he does his own thing now. But a big part of that was he was able to flex and show what he could do with Big Blue Esports. So it's real. And this is like my favorite thing about Smash is when it becomes a real thing outside of the game, and like shows how your skills in Smash and in the community not only help yourself and help your scene out, but also help you in life go forward and become a better and stronger person. So I think that was a really great way for the organizational staff to show that at Shine.
I really think overall TOs, they don't get as much love as they should in the scene. A lot of TOs have done so much for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Shine's TOs are just the perfect example of great people doing everything they can. I personally can't thank Matt and the others enough. Big Blue really, really hit it out of the park.
100%. And I think it's funny because everyone says like TOs are unsung heroes, and in a way, I agree. You know, they don't get the Twitter followers or whatever the top players or commentators or whoever get. They're not in the limelight, but I'll never forget those guys for the rest of my life. I'll never forget Matt.Zab or Dang or Colin or anybody in Big Blue or anyone who helped me do anything in Smash, you know? So maybe it's less of a big picture thing where, you know, if I'm some random dude from Texas or from London, England, I might not know about Matt.Zab or Dang. But since I'm me and they had a really big impact in my life, it's more of a small scale but bigger impact, right? So I'll never forget those guys. It was great seeing them at the last Shine, and you know, I'd help them out with anything if they needed it, and I'm sure vice versa. So
Ugh, that is just a walk down memory lane with all this talk of Shine.
yeah,
And how about some more walk down memory lanes with the coverage side of things? Obviously, you're a commentator, but there were also people were working the stream who were making sure everything ran smoothly. Any of those unsung heroes you want to highlight there?
I think initially a lot of it was Big Blue in house, which is amazing. They did their own thing, and again, it was for New England by New England. But as time went on, we brought in house, and again, a house of 3K. Can't shout them out enough. They grind every weekly still. They're one of the best in the business, but they're like the best top player of production crews because they still do their weeklies every week, even though they're going to everything every weekend, and it shows. And Devin and Dill, the house that they have built is beautiful, and it's been that good for years. And people are just kind of they finally got an opportunity and they're making the most of it, and they're at every event now. They have the replay technology. They have a tablet for ads. They have everything. Like we don't deserve them, honestly. So house, and again, it's that marriage of here's Tri-State and here's New England. Like these regions that always had our back somehow are still here, and there's that camaraderie. I was gonna say loyalty. There is some loyalty, but the camaraderie where it's like, all right, how do we help each other out? How do we do this, right? Because it really does take a full team effort to make a major like Shine happen and have it be as successful as it was in terms of running a bracket and streaming and all that good stuff.
It definitely just Tri-State, Florida, New England. Those scenes always.
Canada. Can't forget
Oh,
Canada.
right, Canada. We can't forget Canada. They
Love
also have
that.
helped us a ton. These four scenes have always, been connected in some way or another. Even like when it's oh, I don't know if actually we've ever had Canada versus New England in a crew battle, but during crew battles, like if one of us like drops early, we're usually there cheering for the other like crew, making sure like, hey, they got this support because if no one has their backs, we're gonna have their backs in terms
Yeah.
of cheering and stuff. And I really feel like it is a great combination for the scenes in general. And I really appreciate everything they've done to help Shine too, because they made Shine magical. Like a lot of people like to point out the overall, oh, this is how much Shine made. This is like the big top player that won Shine. It's also the
Yeah.
smaller players, the community itself, as we've mentioned before, that really helped bring up Shine.
hmm I mean, yeah, if you look at the Shine 2016 bracket for Smash 4, let me see here. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of US flags, but if you just look at where they're from, you know, there's a lot of Canada popping up in top 13, top 25, top 33, like all these good players. And then you look at it and how many of them are from either Tri-State or Florida too. Like it's just, I mean, ESAM and DAF got top 3 at the first Shine. So that's two Floridians right there. So, and 6WX was in fourth. There you go. Mewtwo King, whichever region you count him from, I would say Tri-State, you know, Larry, the West Coast Invader. Actually, the first Shine, I housed Larry. That's also how I met Larry. So that was a big one for me too. And we're still friends to this day. We don't talk like every day or anything. I wish we did. Reach out, Larry. Come on.
You hear
Phone's
that,
right
Larry?
there.
Reach out.
Phone's right there, baby. Come on. No, we always Larry and I message each other before tournament. If it's on the West Coast, I always message him like, "You going to this tournament?" And he obviously says no. Then he goes, "Are you going to this East Coast tournament?" And I obviously say no. And he goes, "Oh, okay, cool." So we're like 2 ships in the night. Yeah. So I'll see him at some
One
tournament.
day your paths will cross again. I know
I
it.
can't wait. We always have I love seeing Larry. He's so funny. But yeah, that was where I met Larry and Sam actually, which is very big because having good people go to bat for you in the scene, people with big followings and with a voice is really really important. So yeah.
Yeah. And let's talk about Shine again in terms of the overall tournament, because each year it really felt like Shine was trying to do something new, something that most tournaments usually weren't going to do. And I feel like that was a really good strength of Shine, is their willingness to experiment. Do you think Shine really managed to accomplish their job of like setting themselves apart, making sure like every Shine was as unique and fun as the last?
Yeah, they definitely tried to mix it up a lot by moving from Boston to Worcester. That was quite the mix right there. What the heck? No, I'm just kidding. I actually, low key, started loving the city of Worcester because of Shine. There's an incredible barcade that we would go to. Now I don't feel bad saying this because I felt I did not want to tell anyone before because it was a great like kind of low key hangout that I would go to with like 20, 30 other people and that was it. But now everyone knows about it. But Shine's over, so it's all good, and I want to give them all the business they can. But look up, I think it's called Freeplay Barcade. Amazing. You pay a cover fee. Great drinks, all themed on video games. But you pay a cover fee, and all the arcades are set on free to play. And they have really good cabs with like Third Strike, Marvel 2, a lot of different Tekken games, and they're nice cabs, which I don't know how because there's everyone drinking alcohol there, but they take care of their machines. Great barcade. If you're ever in the Worcester area, Freeplay, check it out. That was a hidden gem in Worcester. But yes, I think we covered this pretty well earlier. I think lane ship brackets is the number one thing that comes to mind there for sure. And not only that, but the New England. You talk about everyone getting opportunity to. I don't want to say that. Everyone get an opportunity to shine, right? But the New England crowds really bring their own type of energy. We're like a mix of Florida and tri-state, I'd say, where we bring that kind of chaotic energy of Florida, but more of the rowdiness of tri-state, if that makes sense. We're kind of like a humble middle between the two of them. So like not quite as crazy as either of the two of them, but definitely our own unique energy. Like the chair thing with S2J, I always think of. So that was a great unique New England experience that wasn't planned or anything, but I'm not surprised that it happened at all. So and I like the convention centers a lot. Some of the food and stuff was a little like overpriced, but to me it's like, well, if you walk away, how much time does that take? And you're going out to a restaurant to eat,
Yeah.
like, you're probably not saving that much money. Like anyway, and I love that I can get a nice tall boy of cheap beer in the venue. And they're like, oh, the beer's
Yeah, it's like right there.
the beer's $10. I'm like, yeah, but it's a tall boy, so it's 2 beers, so it's really $5 a beer, and that's not that bad. There you
I
go.
feel like there was just so many little experiences. Oh my goodness, that hidden memory. Do you remember when like the whole DVD hitting the corner thing of the screen was a
Forgot about
really big
that.
meme,
Yeah,
and they just had it they just placed down a giant version in the DVD. I remember that, and
forgot about that.
I remember HBox and a bunch of people gathering around, and like when it hit it, the crowd just popped off and is like, "What's going on over there?"
Yeah, I think a part of that is like, yes, it's a New England crowd, but you got to give Tri-State and Florida their credit too for being there and being a crazy crowd. Canada, good crowds too. And then once the major had evolved past just being mostly those 4 scenes, we still let it. You know what I mean? Which is great. A lot of love, a lot of passion at Shine, truly.
It really felt like Shine was a one of a kind thing, but I do know eventually something will come to take its place. But let's just try and reminisce just a tiny bit more. Which Shine was your favorite? Choose right now.
Ooh. I loved. Let me take a look here. Let me think. That's a tough one. Was this on the question sheet? I feel like it
It
wasn't.
was. It
Oh, it's
was.
okay. I missed it then. Okay, let me think. Two
I
come to
don't know if you
mind.
saw it, but
Two come to mind immediately for this. 2019, first year in Worcester, which is funny, which was amazing. Like it worked out really well. We did top 8. I did top 8, top 4 closing with Vicky, and Viram was there. Shout out to my guy Viram. Really, really good commentary blocks and great. It was first Ultimate Shine, which was so good. So it was amazing. It was a scary year because we were switching to Worcester, which is a big change from Boston. That being said, any of the years 2016 to 2018 could be considered my favorite because they're in Boston. Like a 10-15 minute walk from where I work. So I'd punch out from work on the day. I'd just walk right over to Shine, and that was it. It was incredible. I love I love being able to show people around Boston. I love that my friends were coming into town for not just Smash and for Shine, but I could show them, hey, here's my favorite coffee spot. Here's my favorite restaurant. Let's go out and get dinner. You know, like I love showing people around Boston. So having that missing in the final 3 years was tough. But like I said earlier, Worcester really did grow on me. And I would say my favorite year ever is 2023. But you can't beat that poetic ending. I was there with my guy
It's
Light. Like
amazing.
it was beautiful. Like there were so many
I
great moments in
I
Shining
was so
Time.
sad I wasn't able to because just
Yeah.
watching it, if ah, dang it,
It was
dang
amazing.
it.
I know. It's funny because this tournament is like the best advertising for if there was a Shine next year. Like it would be like, oh, really the magic, you know? Nope. Sorry. It was but I'd rather have this perfect ending than try to do it again. But you know, it's all good.
With Shine now over, I think it's also fair to reflect on the memories of us. Are there any more unsung heroes at the moment that we haven't brought that you want to highlight, that you want to say, hey, these people, they are amazing.
Yeah, a couple like local TOs who helped so much. Jamie from Game Underground for running one of the best weeklies
Whoa.
ever. It had so many legendary moments in specifically Melee, but also in Smash 4 and Ultimate. So local TOs are in tournament owners are huge. Shout out to Lance, who's an incredible TO, one of my favorite people I've ever met in Smash, who ran so many of those tournaments at Game Underground. And then just like off the top of my head, the people who really cared about Smash and didn't really play in the brackets a lot or didn't like particularly do well in the brackets, those are the real heart and soul of the scene. I love those players. And the first one that jumps to my mind is this guy named SMDZ who just he did everything. He pool captained, he did whatever he could just to help because he loved being around the scene. And he's definitely someone. Do you know who DZ is?
I think he was my pool captain
Ah,
1 years at
I'm
Shine.
sure he was. He did everything. He's such a and players or people like that are so important to the scene. So shout outs to DZ, the TOs, everybody there. And then also shout out to my man, Lade, if you know him. Top player in New England since Brawl. Top player since Brawl all the way to Ultimate on the New England PR. He doesn't play that much anymore. He's got a kid. He's got his life, going on and stuff. But he was such an important person for competitors in New England because he was specifically so good at beating players worse than him, which is a skill in its own. And he made it such a goal to want to be able to beat him. He was such a big hurdle for so many people that a lot of people never overcame. But he was also a great center for memes and for the community itself, like just being able to drive, good humor, good vibes, and good times to be around. So definitely Lade for sure in terms of just making it. I mean, he's like Mr. New England truly. He was PR'd as a teenager in Brawl, and now as an adult in Smash Ultimate, he was PR'd there as well. Like, roughly top 1 to top 5 anywhere in New England's time span over the last 15 years. So really, really, really important person on a personal level for me, but also to the New England scene at large. So yeah.
You listing all those names was like, oh god, the flashbacks, they're coming.
Crazy, right? I didn't even say Zorn, who was also a hilarious person in Smash 4, who got ninth at the first Shine. So many hilarious and great people, honestly, that I've met through Shine, specifically in New England. Still talk to them, not as much as I used to when I competed, but still love catching up with them and seeing them. I mean, Lade was at my wedding, and so was Mars. Like it was just a lot of other local people who aren't known on the national scale, like Mex and like Sepco, if you knew them. Curtis, yeah, like so many of these guys, like still just my friends who I love. So yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know everyone in the New England scene, but it would just be like I would hear about these people. I would see them like at Shine or like maybe at a regional, and just like, oh, yo, I've heard about you, and like maybe we chat for like a few minutes, and then they'd go off do their own thing. It's just like hearing all these names. I was like, it's been so long since I've heard them.
Yeah, and I'd say aside from those people, there's like a core of 3 other people, a core 4 of casters who have been in New England who have been pushing each other, but mostly like less like I've been talking a lot about tough love. This is just like love. Like myself, Flambeau, if you know him, very big in Brawlhalla, does a lot of Smash stuff too. Ajax, who does everything at this point in the world, and AG, who is just one of the most humble and best casters I've ever met. The 4 of us have been very tight since Smash 4 started, and we've all wanted to see each other succeed and all have done everything we can to help each other. When we were doing when we were doing the because Flambo and I were doing the commentary roster for Shine, and the first thing I said was because esports isn't doing well, so the budget was lower than it's been in years in the past, so we weren't going to be able to probably fly out a lot of big casters. And I said, that's perfect, honestly. I think that's great because I think we should stick to us, the core four. And then also, I think Koopa should come because Koopa, if you know, he's a New Jersey caster who went to every Shine. And there was one year he wasn't hired because he told me he couldn't make it. And then he showed up anyway. He's like, you know what? I could show up on Saturday. So I was like, he's Mr. Shine. Like, he deserves it. And it brought me back to like the beginning where I was like, I didn't get as good of a slot as I thought I deserved. And I was like, I really want to give opportunities to New England casters who are trying really hard and they're fighting the good fight in the region. Because I mean, let's be real, me, Flambo, AJ, and AG aren't going to as much stuff as we used to in region. So these people, these casters who I met at the New England Smash Invitational, really wanted to give as many of them as we could a try. And to me, that was like the spirit of it. Look, Shine's going away, but at least you can put this on your caster reel. We'll give you an opportunity. And that's something you can have forever. So I was really happy to be able to like pay it forward in a way where I had to really scrap and fight to make that slot. It's like, look, we're at this point where, well, we don't really have the budget to fill out the roster with like a dream roster, right? But in a way, this was a dream roster where it's like, I
It's
really
all
want to
New
help.
England
I
and
want to
New
help these
Jersey.
people out. Yeah, that's who it's for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tri-State, obviously, like so many good people that I met over years. So it kind of brought everything full circle because it's like, all right, we're like back to 2016 where it's like mostly who's here is, Canada, Tri-State, New
New
England,
England,
and Tri-State.
Florida.
Yeah, in Florida. Yep, exactly. It was really cool. So it was really it was nice. It was a nice way to bring everything full circle.
We started with those four and we've ended with those four.
Dude,
If you want to talk poetic,
and even then, I remember some of the core four not even getting hired in early days of Shine. That's how competitive and how difficult it was because of where Shine was at. And it's like you weren't a major if you didn't hire certain commentators. Like you weren't real, which was
yeah.
that's kind of fading away a bit, but it's still a little bit true to this day. But at this point, we were like, we don't care. This is for New England by New England. Like that was kind of my philosophy going into this tournament. I'm so glad Light won because it really, again,
It
really did that
really
perfectly.
pushed that saying for New England by New England. New England's the
Yep.
one to close it out
Yeah, and like there's an asterisk that says, and also Tri-State in Canada and Florida's
in
cool
Florida.
too. Yeah, exactly. Like we're cool with you guys, obviously.
Yeah, we like you guys. Everyone else, like, get ready to fight.
Yeah, exactly. It's our house.
Ugh. At the current moment, though, from what I know of, and I'm sure what you know of, there are no plans for another Shine, which, again, probably poetic if we don't have another one, but do you think there's a chance in the future Shine may have this, like, historic return of, like, hey, that 2023 was our last Shine, but we're bringing it back one more time, like, years from now, because, we want to celebrate what Shine was?
Yeah, I think it's possible. And I think, bringing it even further back. So if this 23 year is like the first year of Shine, the year after it is going to be like the first year without Shine, right? And I think even though Shine was amazing, we have a generation of Smashers who grew up always having Shine. Oh, it's great. I can go to a major in my backyard, or it's great. I can go to Worcester, Boston, whatever, and I can play in a major. That's so cool. I could drive. I could take the train, whatever. It's not the case anymore. And when something leaves, it marks an opportunity for something new to take its place. I don't think it's going to happen. I have no idea. I don't have any inner connections in New England to understand or know what's going on. I truly don't know. But I would be surprised if something like it didn't come back. There's too many good people that come through New England, through all the states. Too many smart people who come through here, too many driven people. And I'm already seeing it in the next generation. I just don't know who's going to be able to pull it all together or how that's going to happen or what it's going to look like. But I do believe in the scene and in the next generation of New England Smashers to do something like it. Maybe not a Shine, but their own thing, I hope.
If there's any scene that I think can pull this off, it's New England with the help of Canada, Florida, Tri-State. Just like,
Recipes right there.
we can do it. We've done it before. We did it with Shine. We did not have anything before Shine. And
Yeah.
then we had Shine. And I think, eventually we will get something again. It might not be a Shine, but it's going to be just as special.
Yeah, it might take some while. It might take a while. I think you see some tournaments too that are naturally growing from like the regional level, like Cirque du Soleil or Cirque du Soleil, Cirque du CFL. If you've seen that tournament, it was basically a regional started by Kiki. Shout out to my guy Kiki, just a player who loves Smash. He's holding good regionals with good players from Florida, obviously a strong base region where you can get some good players to come through. And it's grown, and now the next event is going to have Light and EE's casting and all this other stuff. So I think that is the best way to do it, is just to naturally kind of grow up from the regional level to the major level, and that's how Shine did it, that's how the Big Blue guys started. They hosted locals and they hosted regionals and they're hosting majors. I mean, Big Blue did so many monthlies too. I don't think anyone really knows that, but they hosted so much. Shift was one. What was the one at? Oh man, there was one at Patriot Place that was really cool. It was amazing. I was so
I
happy.
only remember.
It was amazing. It was Smash Four, great doubles there. It was really fun. There were so many. I think it was Shift is what it was called because they were all. If you don't know this about Shine, they're all named SHI for she dang. So Shine is SHINE. So it's she New England, right? Like, isn't that cool?
I think
So
that's amazing.
so there's Shine, there was Shift, there was everything that they had was branded in that way, which I thought was pretty neat too. So because he was basically the founder, or he was like the main guy, she dang. So yeah.
So, what do you think? Moving on, like we're nearing the end. What do you think is an important thing to take away from Shine's run as a tournament series?
I think Shine was just such a good growth experience for so many people. Like we would dive in, like we said, the first year in New England, Mars getting upset in pools by a good Robin player from Florida. It's you kind of realize that with opportunity, there's not just the opportunity to prove yourself, but opportunities to grow and to become better. Just like Mars was on his journey in light too throughout their competitive careers. I also needed to figure out how do I become a better caster? How do I become someone who spreads his wings a little bit and not only does well at his own major, but is able to prove himself and earn slots at other majors all across the country. So Shine is something that gave so many people incredible opportunities to run with, especially New England, and so many people did. And it's just, I think that's so important. And I think that's one of the main reasons we're all here in the competitive Smash scene is to improve ourselves and to prove ourselves in some way or another, whether it's in the bracket or on the mic or running a bracket or behind the production computer and all that stuff. So yeah, I think Shine to me it will always be something that marked the beginning of something incredible and something that yeah, I'll never forget. Like I said earlier on, I'll never forget any of the guys that gave me this opportunity. Because I don't know with Shine, I don't know if I'd still be casting or doing stuff today because it would be so hard to get an opportunity to put something like that, Shine as a major on my commentary resume to prove that I'm a decent caster and I can do stuff. And I think a lot of people fall into that category.
I don't think I would be here with Smash University if it wasn't
Oh,
for like Shine keeping me in love with Smash. When Byleth came out, I was like, I can't wait to use Byleth at Shine. Like I got in the Crest Scholars, and then we managed to work for Smash University. And it was like, oh wow, Shine just had this like I don't know what the term is, but it had this effect where just like everything slowly became, oh, now here I am, thanks to Shine. It's like it is a magical tournament series, and I am sad to see it go.
but the thing with it, it'll never be fully gone because of the impact that it's had across the scene. Is the
Exactly.
big thing about it, and I think it came and went at a great time. Like I said before, I think with the absence of something, it isn't just gone; it leaves room for something else to grow. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what the next generation of New England runs and does with it. But
I'm excited to see it too, and hopefully I can actually be at the next like big New England major this time because
yeah,
I feel like at the next big New England major, whatever it is, I want to be there covering it on the ground
oh yeah.
for Smash U. But
That
yeah.
yeah, and that's what it takes is a lot of people just wanting to do more, Hey, I would love if this happened. How can I help? And that's so many people did that. It's great.
hmm Now, are there any last messages or shout outs you want to give to anyone involved with Shine and the New England community as a whole?
I think we covered just about all of it. And I think something I've been living by recently is that, a big part of the journey is the end of it. And I think Shine reached its end at an appropriate time. I think it's still going to, even though Shine is personally gone and not here every year anymore, I think the effect that it had on people and the effects it'll have on their lives forever and going and propelling into infinity is incredible. And I think there's something to be said about that. It's beautiful. So shouts to Shine, shouts to New England, shouts to Big Blue Esports. Shout out to everyone who made it happen, casters, players, production, anybody who showed up and just spectators, everybody who showed up and made it possible. So it's really a beautiful series.
Thank you very much. And before we close it, you want to tell people where they can find you?
Sure, yeah, I'm on Twitter at HazmattRules, and then it's also my YouTube is youtube.com/hazmat. Go watch how I made Mars look foolish. I release one video every 5 years, so don't miss it. I think I'm coming on. I think I'm due almost actually, which is crazy. Twitch is Hazmat Rules, and then make sure you follow me on. I do Tweak Talks as well, which is a weekly Smash Ultimate podcast where I talk with Tweak and Charles and Pig Fresh about what's going on in the week in Smash Ultimate, whether it's kind of casual stuff like talking about potential new characters that we'd like to see in the next Smash, or it's just mostly we review results from weekly majors and all that stuff. So yeah, check us out on Tweak Talks. Check me out if you'd like. And yeah, thanks, Elcrest. Thanks so much for having me. I love taking this stroll down memory lane with you. It was fun.
No problem. I enjoyed this too. It was really, really nice. And oh boy, did I get some flashbacks and
I'm
some
saying
nostalgia.
it was a good
But
time. Yeah.
anyways, I think that will be it for now. And until next time, everyone, class dismissed.